I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, April the 29th, brought to you in part by Noromycin by Norbrook. Noromycin 300 LA is your proven go-to antibiotic for pink eye and foot rot in cattle. It's readily available with no script until next summer when all the rules change, but for more information go to norbrook.com. It's been a big week. We've had two hearings on your Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act. We had the Senate Ag Committee hearing on Tuesday. It was kind of a winner for the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act, and then we had the House hearing on Wednesday. It was kind of the other side, and it was more of a winner for those that opposed, but we'll see how that goes forward. We should be getting news of maybe a vote coming up in the Senate at least. The House is a whole different animal, and we'll have to see how that goes, and there's a lot more members there, and we'll have to see if we can get that pushed through. But we're making progress on this, trying to get more negotiated trade, mandated minimum negotiated trade in your fed cattle arena. And we know that we need that. We know that the voluntary programs do not work. Your packers do not necessarily want to participate in competitive bidding on the fed cattle. And if we don't get this done pretty darn soon, we're going to completely lose that. And then we're going to have to go to just basically taking whatever the packers want to give. And that is going to be basically the end of our independent cattle feeders, and then it will eventually trickle down to your backgrounders and to your cow-calf people. But we had a big negotiated movement for the second week in a row. These packers are really short of fed cattle right now, but it's not going to last that long. We've known that we're getting into the time that we're going to have a lot of market-ready cattle, and packers are understanding that too. And this week in particular, they were trying to buy more cattle for down the road, 2 to 4 weeks. And if they can buy cattle and get significant numbers stockpiled for as much as a month out, well, then they know that there's going to be more cattle that are market ready at that time, and they can really attack the market and get the market position down. But during those two hearings that we had, probably the biggest thing that stuck out, both on Tuesday in the Senate Ag Committee hearing and Wednesday in the House Representative Ag Committee hearing, we each time we had a testifier from the Midwest, where we have the biggest number of negotiated cattle, one from Nebraska and one from Iowa, both pulled out at the last minute for fear of retaliation. And that speaks for itself. You know, if a guy is fearful to go to his Congress and testify for what he believes in his industry, and he's fearful for retaliation, that should speak for itself that we have a big time problem here. And it's too bad that's the point that we're at. But maybe we can get this thing fixed, and we won't feel the fear of the packer coming down on us going forward. But let's look at the board. April live cattle futures, they were unchanged at 138.50, and I guess that's where they want to end up for the contract, because they go off the board here today on Friday. And you know, it's good for your hedgers. It's a buck and a half back for your guys in the Southern Plains that got 140, and for your Northern Plains guys, it's way back, so they've got a big basis there to cash in. But 138.50, I guess, is as close as we can get at fruition for your April contract on your CME live cattle futures for April. How about the June contract? It was down big, down $1.12 at 133.90. So we're not feeling very confident going in there. August was down 67 cents at 136.35. You go on your back months, and they were down 15 cents to to down just over 50 cents. But that's very depressing as we go forward here. Looking at our nearby fed cattle contracts going down the road. April feeder cattle were down 27 cents at 155.92, and they're just trying to settle in there. Of course, they're going off the board too. They're just trying to settle in there with your CME cash feeder cattle index, and that's fairly close to where it was at. And that's about what cattle are bringing for 800-pound steers, around 156 there. May contracts on feeder cattle up 60 cents at 157.95. August was up $1.45 at 170.40, and the August is all important. It's all about your green yearling steers coming off grass, especially in your big grazing areas of the Flint Hills and the Osage and places like that. But that still looks pretty handsome out there. Your back months of your feeder cattle were up 70 cents to up 92. Fat cattle trade, we're seeing that we had a big negotiated trade for the second week in a row. Whether it had anything to do with the hearings that happened this week, I don't know, or whether it had to do with your packers being kind of short on market-ready cattle, because the market-ready supplies are really tight here as present for the next week or two, but then we're going to run into them again here as we go into next month, into May. But Colorado did print some information this week, as we had a third packer come in there and buy some cattle up, but didn't have any confirmed sales on Thursday. But 7,700 head for the week is more than what we typically see out of Colorado, but normally we don't see anything at all. Only about 400 head on Thursday for Iowa, about 37,400 head for the week, which is pretty large. Negotiated trade for Iowa. Live sales 146 to 147, and we're seeing a huge premium in the Northern Plains for their better grading cattle, which it comes back to the argument of your Southern Plains guys that love the alternative marketing agreements and say that they can't get a premium in negotiated sales for their premium high quality cattle. Well, you got to ask more for the cattle, guys, and we're running $6 to $7 higher than what your market was this week, and you just got to ask more for them if you get to the point where you have leverage enough to trade negotiated for your cattle. Dress sales were at 232. Your dressed market was lower this week, although we didn't see a whole lot of volume trade dress this week, but we had dress sales last week as high as 238. We did have some dress sales this week as high as 236, but still it's lower. About 500 head confirmed on Thursday in Nebraska, about 32,300 head for the week. And that's pretty typical for Nebraska on an active week there, but live sales were 146 to 148, and the 148 is the highest that we saw all week. And actually I heard rumors of cattle selling a buck or two higher than that in the Midwest, but 148 is still a pretty handsome price there, and that would be a buck higher on the top side. But your packers are really going after your top quality cattle. They're wanting the better quality meat as we're going into the summer, because that's what people want to put on the grill. But we're not necessarily seeing that in your box beef cutout values. Dress sales confirmed on Thursday in Nebraska were at 233, which is off the top of the market, like I said, which was up as high as 238, but a lot of 236 dressed in your Midwest and Northern Plains. Kansas didn't have any negotiated sales on Thursday to report, but 23,800 head for the week. Texas had 15,600 head for the week, which is unheard of. That's the biggest negotiated trade we've seen in Texas for a long time, but nothing confirmed on Thursday. Box beef cutout values, choice cuts 260, 260. That was up 69 cents on Thursday afternoon on your box beef, and selects down a buck 26 at 251.06, trying to stretch out that choice select spread, which we normally see this time of year as we're going into grilling season. Your slaughter has been very aggressive so far this week. Up through Thursday, 498,000. That's 15,000 more than last week, 18,000 more than the same week a year ago. Your actual slaughter information come back on Thursday for the week ending April the 16th. Had your average dressed steer carcass weight at 909 pounds, which sounds big, but it's 3 pounds less than the last report. But about 11 pounds more than the same week a year ago. And I just have to feel like as we move forward here with these high cost of gains that people are going to start moving their cattle at lighter weights, and we're going to see those carcass weights come down quite a bit. I didn't talk about your grains. Not a lot of movement in your corn. They were up 1/2 cent at $8.16 a bushel. I feel like the last week or two that we've seen higher corn, Chicago Board of Trade futures, that they're trying to buy more acres back because we still haven't seen a lot of corn planted because it's been cool in the northern plains and the upper Midwest especially. But those guys can still make decisions on what they want to plant, and we're trying to steal some more acres back from the beans. And beans were down 20 cents on Thursday at 17.06 and a half. Kansas City hard weather winter wheat down 12 cents at 11.36 and a quarter. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DB auction late in the day on Thursday sitting at 155.04. That was down $1.17. They've been kind of trickling down all week, but we've seen the pressure from the markets and everything that's been going on, and down $1.17. Your CME cash feeder cattle index, the latest available, is 156.36, and that's real close to where your April feeder cattle contracts are going to go off the board on Friday here. But let's look at your big sales on Thursday. Winter livestock in Pratt, Kansas, about 4,000 head there. The markets were lower, steady to $5 lower. But a stick-out deal in Pratt, Kansas was 60 head of 843-pound steers at 159.85, and that's nothing to sneeze at all. Farmers and ranchers livestock in Salina, Kansas had 3,700 head on Thursday. Market there was steady to as much as $7 lower. So the pressures that's mounted this week have finally took effect on your cash feeder cattle sales late in the week. Let's talk about some of your individual quotes on Thursday. Mid-Missouri stockyards in Phillipsburg or Lebanon, Missouri there, 51 head, 668-pound steers bring $174, and that's a good quote. How about Coffeyville livestock in Kansas? That's Brian Littlesale there in Coffeyville, Kansas. 119 head of steers weigh 808 pounds at 158.60. That's near the top. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday come out of the Great Northwest. Toppenish Livestock Commission in Toppenish, Washington sold 89 head, 751-pound steers at 165 and a quarter. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.